Hi, Gigi. Thank you so much for coming on Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs. I'm so excited to have you on the show, lady.
Hi there. I am super pumped. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and I did already introduce you just a little bit in the intro, but I'd like to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us all the things.
Absolutely. Gladly. I am Gigi. I run a design studio called 16 Creative. I've been doing this since 2016. I focus more on negative marketing focused brand and web design. And since 2021, I've also been coaching other creators how to become better business owners. Because my background is in business, neuromarketing, sales. And I realized when I quit my corporate career and decided to start this entrepreneurial gig and try things to do things on my own, I realized that, you know what? I love designing. I'm very creative as a person. I'm not the best designer, but I'm a really good business owner and I'm really good at marketing. I'm very great at sales. And one common trait that I realized is that many creatives don't have this skill set simply because they come from a different background. I know there are a lot of self-taught designers out there, but a lot of people I work with, they come from design colleges and agencies. And so they have amazing skill set in terms of like design skill set that honestly makes me just like, salivate and be like, oh my God, you're so talented. This is amazing. But then when it comes to selling creative services and putting themselves out there and selling and marketing themselves, they struggle with that. So since 2021, when the pandemic hits and a lot of my clients backed away, I think a lot of people can relate to that from the service as a service provider. It was a scary time. I was like, why not use my skill set that I use with my clients already and see how I can help other creatives. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yes. Oh, I just have to pause for a second and say I love how much you just own your story too. I mean, I know a lot of people in my audience are somewhat newish entrepreneurs, or there's no matter where you're at in your entrepreneurial journey, there's mindset shit that you have to go through for sure. Like a lot of people feel so much shame or guilt or like the imposter syndrome when they're doing their business. And it's no, it's okay to be like realistic with yourself and realize like, what are my skills? And like, how can I help the world and own it? I love that you own your story so much. I just have to say
Thank you.
that.
I appreciate that. And I would say for those who are listening to us like that, I feel like that mindset work never really goes away. I remember
Mhm.
starting out, I was listening to so many podcasts, and I tell everyone I'm a graduate of YouTube University when it comes to everything I learned in terms of design and running my
Mhm.
creative business. I remember thinking, like, oh my God, everyone has their shit together. And I'm like, I'm never going to get there. I've been running my business since 2016. I still have moments where I'm like, everybody has their shit together. And I obviously don't. But people who I look up to have changed and my goals have changed. The challenges I face in my business have evolved as well. So I just want to reassure to those who are listening to us that challenges, you're not striving to not have challenges in your business because you will. They're just going to change and evolve. What you can do is control how you react to it and just accept that, yeah, that situation really sucked. What can I learn from it and how can I move forward?
Oh, yes. Oh, I love that we're just going off on this little mindset tangent here right now, which I think is great because we need to hear that. And I totally agree. It's challenges, hurdles, they're always going to be coming, but you can evolve as far as how you navigate them too, and your confidence in your ability to navigate them as well. I was
For
thinking about
sure.
this morning as I was like on my run, I was like, I'm so much better at handling like triggering emails now than I was like when I first started. I'm so much better at like, whenever Instagram goes down or throws a curveball my way, I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't annoy me as much," because I have, like, confidence in my ability to just like, "Oh, well, whatever, we'll figure it out."
Yeah, absolutely. It's like looking back at heartbreaks. When you go through that heartbreak, especially as a teenager, it's like the worst thing in the world. Like your world is about to end and you see no future and you don't know how you're going to survive this. I have a 3-year-old daughter and my heart like aches thinking of all the heartbreaks she's going to go through because I know they're going to be so hard and so painful. And I look back to
Mhm.
this silly girl. Like, this was nothing. You had no idea what was coming at you during adulthood and once you have to pay taxes. live the real life. Like those little heartbreaks for nothing.
Oh, you're just like speaking to my heart this morning. Thanks, lady. I think I needed to hear this too. And honestly, too, bringing it back to somewhat AI tools in a way, I actually was interviewed on someone else's podcast the other day and they asked me, how did you learn your skills with AI? How do you start? And I was like, I just started using them and I just started like watching YouTube videos, like you're saying. Like, it doesn't really matter how you learn your skills as long as you're learning your skills and evolving. And I think with AI tools, especially, they're all so new. We're all still figuring this out. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about
Let's
AI.
do
I'd love
this.
to know how you started dipping your toes into the world of AI and learning about these tools and using them.
AI has been around for a very long time, right? We were so deep in it, we had no idea. I'm sure somebody must have mentioned this on your podcast that autocorrect is the most basic form of AI that we can mention, right? But on a more serious note, I love technology. I've always been very curious about technology. I like to be one of the first to try things out. When it's like my birthday or a holiday and my husband asks us, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I want some gear. Like I want some tech. I don't need bags or clothes or anything like this. Like I just want tech. I love it. So my first experience with AI, like really was probably like for many was Chat GPT. And I thought it was just really cool, but also really terrifying for my particular industry as a designer. And circling back to this whole conversation around mindset, my first reaction was like, oh shit, this is the beginning of the end. And yes, I freaked out a little bit. I was really scared. I started reading more about it. And I think that with anything new, you have this wave of information and also content that is being created. You are going to be completely irrelevant in your industry. AI is going to take over.
Mhm.
And there's so much content created around this that my first experience was fear. And like, man, what is happening? This is very terrifying. And I need to get on board. I need to understand this technology to stay relevant and to see how can I incorporate it. So it's a mix of curiosity and fear, fear for the longevity of my business, fear also as a mother watching my younger daughter, like I want to understand technology and I don't want to be a parent who cannot have a conversation around technology with my child. I know I'm like
Mhm.
thinking ahead and it's like in 10 years, but I have no idea how she's going to be experiencing AI and virtual reality. And it terrifies me. And I feel like I'm at an advantage where my job is so virtual and online, and I have this opportunity to learn. So I started using ChatGPT in the most basic form. I think like many, it's like, hey, and being super polite with it, the fear that what if it turns on me? I wanted to remember that I was polite with you and I always say please and thank you. And obviously, like watching YouTube videos and learning. There are a couple of creators online that I love watching. I think
Mhm.
we are at an advantage where we're all learning together. There are some people who haven't even dipped their toes in AI, but we're kind of like progressing together, right? And maybe there is like a 1-2% of people who have deeply engineering minds and really understand the tech inside out, which I don't. I feel like my use of AI is probably not the most advanced use, but it's a use that really helps me save time and be more productive in my business.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm hearing all of that, lady. So, what are some of your favorite ways to use AI tools daily now?
I was trying to, because I'm recording a podcast episode for my podcast, like all the different ways that I currently use AI. And I was like making a bullet list of things. I have 45 different ways. If I'm going to be sharing them on this episode, I feel like I need to cut these down. But I feel like I have the business administrative side of things where I use AI and especially Chat GPT. And then I have my creative services and design. So currently, I am working on a project for a client where we agreed on this really cool concept for her branding, where we're
Mhm.
basically using, if you imagine like a simple mesh, and we want to bend that mesh to make a 3D of a lily. It sounds really complex, right? And in my head, I could totally imagine it. But then I sat with my iPad and was trying to draw it. I'm like, this looks like crap. I can visualize it in my head, but I cannot put
Mhm.
it down. And this is where I use a combination of MidJourney, Adobe Firefly, and Chat GPT
Mhm.
as well, DALI, to see which one is going to be able to generate the best possible image that is not going to be the final result, but that is going to be the base of what I can start working with. And so I would go on all of these three platforms, start prompting, eventually use ChatGPT to improve my prompts. Then I would spot an image like, oh, okay, this is the style I'm going for. And I would want to see, okay, how did the tool write the prompt? I wouldn't say that it saves a lot of time. I probably spent like an hour maybe going back and forth and reiterating and improving the image to get to a point of, okay, yes, this is the vision that I have. And now I can take this, I take it to my iPad, I refine it, then I take it to Illustrator and vectorize it. So it's like showing you the process from getting that idea. I'm like, man, I see it. I close my eyes, I can see it. I cannot put it down on paper because sometimes as creative,
Mhm.
we just can't, right? And as I said, like I'm a creative person, but I can't really draw. Sometimes it's hard for us to visualize things. So that's a really helpful
Mhm.
way.
Oh, can we pause here
Yeah,
real
of
quick? And
course.
I have some follow-up questions for sure. I love the idea of, yeah, like I do feel very creative. I can visualize things somewhat, or like I just have this idea, but it's not even quite like a visual yet. The details of it aren't concrete for me. And I have really loved using Midjourney for that sort of thing too. I love that you are getting curious about how ChatGPT is writing prompts for you and crafting it because that was another thing too. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good at writing words. I'm pretty good at thinking up visuals in a way, but I don't know how to make these intersect. That was something that was an issue with me when I first started using Midjourney. She was like, I can see it, but I don't know how to describe it in a way that Midjourney
Yeah.
would understand. But my two follow-up questions are one, are you concerned at all about the AI copyright stuff when it comes to the visuals? And how do you work with your clients, like when it comes to that stuff? And then also, have you considered? I feel like I'm always trying to think of all these different ways people could incorporate AI into their offerings and stuff. And for like copywriters, I think it's really cool if you could like even create a custom GPT with their brand voice and help them write copy for your clients. Offer that as like an upsell or even just like a bonus. And I could totally see maybe brand designers of some sort crafting like prompts for Midjourney or whatever that like then they hand off to their clients. Like, here's if you want to create more brand visuals or
Mhm.
something. Anyway, sorry. Tell me your thoughts.
So, really great questions. The first one, there are definitely some concerns that we need to consider when it comes to copyright and just working in an ethical way with AI, especially to create brand visuals. Currently, I'm using AI to create images for a client's website. It's for a mockup, so I don't know if they're going to end up using it, but we have a specific aesthetic that we want to get with specific
Mhm.
colors that after searching for hours on different stock image website, I just couldn't find. However, I can generate
Mhm.
it with AI much faster. So there are definitely some considerations. As I mentioned, I never use whatever platform Midjourney is going to give me. I never use it as a final result. If we look at what Midjourney gave me versus the final brand mark that I created, it's completely different, but it gives me this kind of base that I can work with. I also ensure that now that we can use references to create better results, it simplifies things so much, but I never use someone else's work as a reference to create my concept. So I always try to get, for example, in this case, we saw this really great graphic on Pinterest. And this was what sparked this idea of this mesh that creates a lily and stuff. And yeah, I could have totally be like, let me take this image, pop it into Midjourney or Adobe Firefly and plot the stylization and use it as a reference and just say, I want the same thing, but as a lily. And yeah, it wouldn't be the same image, but it wouldn't be the most ethical way of doing things. Also, I don't know what I'm missing out on in the process of getting to that result that I want. I don't know what other potential ideas am I missing out on, what other potential sparks I might have in the process. So that's one thing. The other is I, for example, would never use like a client's face or anything like this. Or even when I use ChatGPT to create copy, I always ensure that I'm in secret mode. And also I don't use any of their information because we still don't know where all of this goes. So that's some things
Mhm.
that I always try to take into consideration. To answer your second question, this is actually what I'm doing with some of my bigger clients
Yeah.
who invest in brand strategy. So once we go through this entire process of brand strategy and figuring out their brand voice and personality and mission and vision and all of that, I create a custom GPT for them that they can use for content creation and copy creation. So this is a GPT that has been trained on their voice, that has information about again their vision, their mission, their ideal clients, and they can use that to bounce ideas off. If a client needs something way more specific, like for example, if they create like podcast episodes every single week, then we can tune that to really have a podcast bot that will generate ideas based on their podcasts using their tone of voice, thinking about their ideal listener and all of that. So that's one of the new offers that I have for more of my premium clients. And something I'm testing now is to create a bot that will help generate images for my clients for their blog because they create a lot of blog posts and they always struggle with finding that cover image that's going to go there. And because they have a specific aesthetic they're going for, this is something we're just toying with. We're still trying to get the result that we want, but I'm creating a bot that will help them create a graphic for a blog post graphic for, yeah, every single week.
Oh, I love this. Geeking out so much. And yeah, I've been using MidJourney for sure with Authentic AI's
Hmm.
branding a lot. And it's been so fun to like get creative and have all these different images with similar colors. And oh man, it's just so fun. Can I ask you a quick technical
Yeah,
question if you feel comfortable
of
sharing
course.
too? How do you go about like thinking about the pricing for an AI upsell of sorts like that?
With my premium clients, it's included in the price for my bigger packages. But
Mhm.
one of the clients has come back for to create like social media templates. And I don't offer new clients VIP days or whatever, but I do offer it as a maintenance kind of package for my past clients because I already know their brand. Like it's much easier for me. So that particular client, I'm going to be spending half a day creating a bot that will be priced as one of your VIP days and we'll take it from there. But I think it's a lot at this point, at least, it's still a lot of experimentation.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I don't know if 5 hours are going to be enough to create like the quality that I want from this bot. In the past, it would take me, I would say 3 to 5 hours in general to train a bot. When it's one of my bots, it usually takes 3 or 5 weeks because I'm very perfectionist. I'm gonna tweak this to the max.
Uh-huh.
But that's how I approach it right now. I don't have like well, I guess I do have a fixed price VIP day or a full VIP day if needed.
Can you share like just any quick insights or tips you have when it comes to creating custom GPTs within ChatGPT is what you normally go to or
Currently, yes, it's just creating custom GPTs inside of the GPT tool. And from what I've learned so far, a lot of it comes from practice and experimentation. I've also seen with the new model that the results are getting way better with
Mhm.
GPT having memory and being able to, the more you talk to this bot, the more it learns and the better the answers as well. When I just started using ChatGPT, I had threads and threads on it because I literally use it more than I use
Uh-huh.
Google now. If I
Mhm.
need to, because English is my third language, it's not my native language. Oftentimes I would just
Mhm.
put like a sentence and be like, this sounds weird. Is this correct? And you see so many of those threads in my ChatGPT, just checking
Uh-huh.
whether whatever I'm saying is right. But now what I have is instead of using a new thread every single time I need a new email or a new content piece or a new recipe, a new meal plan for my family, I go back to the threads, basically keep reusing it. And the more I reuse it, the
Mhm.
better the answers and the better the output I get from GPT. And that's definitely something that I didn't do at the beginning. But now I have one for email marketing, one for social media content, one for podcast. And I keep going back to that. So it has all of the information and I don't need to retrain it every single time. Before I used to have
Mhm.
like a 20 to 30 line prompts that I would chuck in there every single time I needed a content piece. But now I use the same thread every time.
Yeah, I know. I am the same as you. I actually was doing kind of an online training for someone's membership the other day, and during the Q&A at the end, they were like asking questions about ChatGPT. So I was like, "Here, I'll show you. Let's hop into my ChatGPT." And I was like, "Guys, don't mind the disorganized mess over here in my side chats and stuff." And they're like seeing the most random titles on my chats and stuff. They're like, "Oh wait, you were using this for human design?" I was like, "Yeah, I was." Anyway, I know it's really nice. I am really loving the new model and stuff, and I'm slowly dipping my toes into the custom GPTs thing. But I also think that when it comes to using these AI tools, it's a good idea to keep your boundaries, keep your focus, and remember to walk the line of, okay, I still need to be productive and get stuff done in my
Yeah.
business, like without getting sucked down an AI rabbit hole every day. So I guess what are some other ways that I know you said you were using ChatGPT for admin stuff and whatnot. What does that look like for you?
I mentioned a couple of things more like the business operational parts, like helping me
Mhm.
with content creation and with email marketing. Lately, I've definitely felt like, as you said, like you can get so sucked in wanting
Mhm.
AI to give you the perfect answer and kind of writing and rewriting and spending so much time doing that. But I've learned to get to a point where like I'm happy enough with this. Now I can work with
Yeah.
this instead of trying it to sound exactly like I want, have exactly the references that I want, etc. But I use it a lot for as well, obviously for my own podcast to help me with recaps. And I write transcripts for every single one of my podcast episodes. And then I just
Mhm.
chuck it all in into I have a bot for my podcast and chuck it all in and it creates the show notes. It creates a recap. It creates bullet points. It creates like, I always like to have what are the three kind of action steps that people can take after that episode. And it just automatically does all of that work for me. So that's one thing.
Mhm.
I love GIFs. Every email I send, maybe every other email, you'll find a GIF in my email marketing. And that's another rabbit hole. You can spend so much time on Giphy just searching for that perfect GIF. All the Gen Zs are like, oh my God, another millennial using GIFs. But
Oh,
hey,
I'm there with you, girl.
but I use it to help me with that actually, like to find relevant gifts. So that's quite fun. I use it a lot for quotes and stats and references. So I like to, in my workshops and in some of my podcast episodes, when it's like a teaching kind of content, I like to find quotes or stats. Before that, I would spend so much time on Google, just give me a statistic on how much more productive millennials are compared to Gen Z or whatever. But now I can just ask ChatGPT to help me with that. You do need the paid models, so you connect it to the internet and all of that. But I always fact check because if you're asking for a quote or if you're asking for some type of reference, make sure to then spend 30 seconds, go on Google, fact check it. I asked ChatGPT to give me links. Where did they get those quotes from, or where did they get
Mhm.
their statistics from, just to ensure that I'm not just talking a bunch of crap out
Oh,
there.
totally.
In my
Yeah.
personal life, I use it for meal planning, grocery shopping, recipe making, also to write letters. I live in Switzerland and all of the communication I get is in German. So sometimes I use it to translate stuff, write letters, this kind of stuff. But depending on how much you're using as a listener, how much you're using ChatGPT, think of all the ways where you're spending a lot of time. And anytime I have a task where I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to do it. It's going to take so much time. I always
Mhm.
put it through the AI filter. Like, how can we use ChatGPT for that? Can we use AI for that? Or is that something that I have to do by myself? Most of the time, AI can help you in one way or another.
Thank you for saying that. I know I've been like saying that as well because I do think it can feel a little overwhelming for sure when you start using these tools and you're like, whoa, there's so much I can do. And people are always thinking, I need to go to ChatGPT for an entire task, right? And so I've been saying, just start working through your day. And whenever you hit a pressure point or a block or a wall of some sort, ask yourself, could I use ChatGPT for this? Maybe it could help me. And that's how I've been slowly starting to integrate it into my life and also still be productive and still get the work done that
Hmm.
I need to get done. So when it comes to finding GIFs with ChatGPT, what's your favorite way to do that? Because I've tried doing that before and it just doesn't help me the way I've tried it so far.
Mhm.
So what do you do when you
I
have
can
GIFs?
send you after this, like the exact prompt that I use, but
Uh-huh.
I ask it also always ask it for links as well. A couple of times when it wasn't getting me exactly the kind of gift that I wanted, I would send it a link with an example. That does improve the results that I get. I would say it gives me like the right 3 out of 5 times. It's not a hit every single time, but it does save me time. Even if it doesn't give me the exact gift that I want, if I go on that page with that gift, I usually will find when you have suggested other gifts that you might like, it would give me the one that I want. But it's as simple as this is the copy that I want. I love gifts from the office. So I would often
Uh-huh.
request those. Think of the words on Giphy, they use keywords, right? They use tags to
Mhm.
explain the emotion or whatever. So I always ensure to incorporate those. So it would be like the gift needs to be this and this, especially if I use the right keywords that they often use on Giphy. You would
Mhm.
search by emotion or anything like this, because we have to remember that what ChatGPT does is that it goes and it scans the information on that page, right? So that's what's been working for me. There's also a really great custom GPT that you can search for that actually
Cool.
focuses on like gift finder or something like this. They all sound the same. So can't
Yeah, of
remember
course.
exactly, but I can send you a link if you want.
Okay, yeah, I'll try that out. That'd be awesome. And then also just podcaster to fellow podcaster, I just have to throw this out there because I literally am telling everyone. Have you tried Descript yet
Yes. So
for
I'm super excited
editing?
to see you on Squadcast because I have this script and I also have Riverside. And I had no idea
No,
that these
no.
script acquired Squadcast. It's like,
Mhm.
why am I paying for both
Yes.
platforms?
Do
So
not.
now I'm really excited because this is the first time that I actually been as a guest on Squadcast. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting to see the behind the scenes, but I love these scripts.
Yeah.
The AI functionality is amazing. Riverside AI functionality is really awesome too. I know that Descript can dub your voice now, which is like
Mhm.
just pure magic. Riverside just released that they can dub your video as well, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
So I hope that Squadcast is going to catch up to that because anytime there is a new AI feature, like everybody needs to catch up on that.
Oh, yeah. Could I dish a little bit about the Descript workflow that I
Yeah,
have with you right now real quick?
please.
Because I'm like, yes. Okay, so I'll be honest, I've had some issues with Riverside in the past, and this was 6 plus months
Mm,
ago at least now. It just them not letting me know when there was an issue with the interview and the recording, and I lost a few
wow.
recordings. It really pissed me off a little bit. Then Descript acquired Squadcast. It is so easy to take these interviews, like one click. It goes to Descript. There's no uploading, downloading, anything like that. I've been using Descript. I actually did a Descript tutorial with all the different AI features, but I think that Descript can actually dub your video if you have a solo episode. I think that they're
Oh, okay.
working on overdubbing the video if you do it interviews. I'm just waiting for that feature
Cool.
too. I've been loving the Underlord is what they named their
Which I love.
AI tool. It's hilarious in Descript. And yeah, they just updated it and it's so easy. But anyway, talking about summits, lady, I can't let you go without asking you about your recent AI summit because I actually signed up for it through BMuse Studios link. And so I have all of the videos. I need to go back and watch all the trainings still because I feel like I
You're
just have
probably
not had
irrelevant by
time.
now.
Okay, yes, let's talk about your summit. So, firstly, let's just talk about what your summit was and how you decided to host one because I think that's so interesting too.
So the summit took place in May and it was the Creative Future Summit. I'm actually recording a very in-depth behind the scenes episode, 2 episodes about it, the good and the bad, which will probably be released in a week or two. But I've had this vision of an event I wanted to organize for myself for a very long time. But it was always things got in the way. But I had a specific vision of creating a summit, talking about the future of the creative industry, what is happening, what should we look forward to, what are the latest trends, innovations. That was way before AI. Because I've been part of many summits as an attendee, as a speaker, and they've always been great. But I hear a lot of I don't want to say hate, but a little bit of hate around summits, especially for more seasoned creatives, is understandable because there isn't really a place for more experienced designers to go and talk about what's happening in the industry, right? To talk about more innovative strategies, to talk about how they can experiment in their business, because most of the summits and most of the events that are very popular in our industry, they're targeted towards more newer designers, newer creators, which is fine, which is awesome. It's great that there is something like this of value for them. But then it leaves a lot of people with more experience. Okay, where do we hang out? What do we do? And so I wanted to create a summit that really talks about highly relevant topics that are probably going to be super relevant next year when I host it again. And then AI happened, right? And I've been sitting on this idea for 2, 3 years. And AI happened. I was like, girl, it has to happen now because you're already behind. Right? Like you're already been sitting on this for years and you're going to need it if somebody else does it before you. That's how I started the Creative Future Summit. It was really great. It was very exciting because obviously in this case, this year, we're really focused on AI because that was the topic of the year. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone's freaking out. Is AI going to take our jobs? Is it going to replace us? Are we going to become irrelevant? And I had a lot of creators and designers who came in to share their experience of AI and how they use AI in their business. But also, we talked about other really important topics around the future of design, like how can we as designers do better in terms of sustainability and inclusivity and ensure that we actually do better for this world as designers, because we have a lot of power that we don't even realize. It was a really interesting topic. It was very different and very fresh and just very new for the industry, which I mean, I think you either love it or hate it, right? You either, yes, innovation, new things, I want to learn all about it, or screw this, I hate it. I don't want to anything new. I want my typewriter back and I don't want to change anything, which is fine. But it was lots of fun. It was tiring. We had 3,500 people attend the event, which I was very happy with for my first ever summit. But it also puts a lot of pressure for next year because I'm a perfectionist. I like to go against the grain. I like to do things differently. And sometimes when you go against the grain a little bit, as I said, like either people love it or they hate it.
I was really impressed with your
Thank you.
summit and how it was laid out and just all of the engagement and all the things you put into place to make sure it was like an experience. It was great. I would love to do a summit myself. I've actually like just started doing trainings for other people's summits like this year, and it's been really fun. And I love the community aspect of it and us all coming together and learning together. And I know how much work goes into doing a summit on the back end. And then I'm sure with it being AI focused, we were chatting a little bit before we hit record, guys. Like the AI world, it's just moving so quickly. I've learned that with my podcast. Like, I tell everyone who I invite to be a guest on the show to schedule out into the future. I try to make sure we record as soon as to when I can release it as possible, just because things are changing so quickly and stuff. Yeah, what were some of those challenges that you ran into with your summit?
Well, I think the biggest one is that GPT 4.0 got released 2 days before the summit kicks off. In my hands, what do we do? And then I reached out to Lauren from the studio because her session was about Chat GPT and how you can use it. Like, well, what do we do? Like, I don't know. Like, did we record the entire thing? But that's the thing, right? Technology moves so quickly, and it was fine. We needed to do like a little announcement at the beginning, but that was about it. But it was a really great example of how a lot of the things that we are maybe shared in some of the presentations, or even when people show tutorials of how to use it. I know Lauren back then was like, you should absolutely always go for the paid version of ChatGPT. She was such an advocate of it. It was like, you should still invest in it because you need those extra credits so you can use it for longer, right? One thing that also happened is basically I got a kind of speaker agreement from a mastermind I was part of that helped me organize the summit. It was Krista Miller's Summit in a Box. Really great if you're considering your own event, your own summit. It's an investment, but absolutely worth the money. But
Mhm.
as part of her mastermind, you get tons of resources. And one of them is a speaker agreement. And in that speaker agreement, there was something along the lines of, we have the right to resell your presentations next year. Because as part of the summit, like traditional summit models, a lot of the times hosts will sell last year's presentations for a very small price, like $20 or whatever, when you purchase the ticket for the new year. So you can upgrade and get even more presentations and even more value. And I
Mhm.
didn't even pay attention to this class. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then one of the speakers reached out to me. He's like, hey, I'm happy with the agreement, but I don't think that this clause makes sense because I do not want my presentation to be available next
Mhm.
year because I'm like, it's just going to be a bunch of crap. It was like, hey, let's talk about the future. Let's talk about what's going to happen in the future and try to quote unquote predict the future. But in reality, we have no idea what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Everything we discuss, and that's what I'm saying, like I went to an event that was hyper relevant. Even if we talk about it in
Mhm.
2 months' time, it's not going to be relevant anymore. So that was funny because I didn't even think of that. And it's true. Every single presentation that we covered is probably going to be kind of irrelevant next year. So I'm definitely not going to be selling this year's presentations next year because there's just no point. Everything is going to be completely different. I don't think we can even fathom how quickly technology is going to change. And even things we're discussing here, right? I use Chat GPT to help me meal plan. Next year, I'm probably just going to have some glasses that will scan the fridge and be like, oh, look, we can make this today. And it will just like highlight all of the ingredients I need or whatever. Maybe it's a little too advanced, but why not? Who knows?
No, girl. I mean, exactly. Thank you so much for being just so open and transparent about this and stuff. That's what this podcast is all about. And I think that it's one of the most exciting things. And it's also, yeah, just like things that we need to wrap our brain around when it comes to using these tools and sharing these tools in our business and all that stuff. So I'm definitely going to go check out that summit in a box. Oh, yes. Because I would love to do a summit. And yeah, that's the part I'm struggling with is wrapping my brain around how can I make it the most relevant and how can I get this summit out like the most quickly, even with the summit that I'm about to be a part of. I'm like, okay, as I was recording my Descript presentation, I was like, making sure to say these updates were just released. I know that they're planning on making some improvements and changes still, but here's the general overview of my workflow. I was just like, how can we share the best information at the same time and stay up to date without giving out the wrong information and stuff?
It's
And it's
not
something to
easy,
consider.
but I feel like you should absolutely at least give it a go and like put it on paper and how you want it to look. But I feel like we're definitely in an era where like, if you have an idea, you need to be a really quick decision maker. Like with the amount of technology we have available right now and how quickly we can brainstorm and automate processes from ideation to creation, like that, the fast track is huge now. So we don't have unfortunately, we don't have the comfort of time to just be like, I don't know, let's see. No, go and try it. Create an MVP, talk to 10 people, see like, is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? It's a bad idea, toss it. That's fine. You need bad ideas to get to a really good one. The amount of shit ideas I had before the creative future is insane. I think that for everyone listening, if you have something that you're like, oh man, I want to do this, I want to create this, go and create it. Create an MVP, create something super basic, pitch to a couple of people, get their opinion. If you are scared of talking with people about this idea, talk to ChatGPT about it. Say, hey, I need you to be a shark, whatever, an investor. I need you to be just like a creative that I can brainstorm things with and just talk to it and be like, hey, do you like this idea? Should I go with it? How should I create a plan around it? What is my 10-step plan to make this happen? What are my risks? What are the opportunities there? And decide whether you want to go ahead or not. I feel like this is definitely the time to just go with it and explore, create, innovate, experiment. Let's see what sticks.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing all your knowledge. Can you please tell everyone how they can connect with you and find all your stuff? Because I know they'll want to.
Absolutely. I thank you guys for listening. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at 16creative. This is where the agency is, but mostly I post content around business and marketing for creative entrepreneurs. And my website is 16creative.com. And yeah, I hope to see you there.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.